So Matt, I've been bugging you for years to teach a course on learning analytics, and I don't know how you managed to drag me into it.
If I recall, it was your idea to do it.
I wanted you to do it.
Oh, now I see. Yeah. So by offering to co-teach it is the way that you dragged me into it. I got it. Uh, I actually, way back when we were first designing the program, I wanted to have a course in learning analytics, and it was on my initial list of courses for electives, along with mobile learning, social media, online learning, and video games. And I had one on data viz and analytics in education or something. We couldn't create so many new courses at once. So I'm really glad that we have it on the books for this summer. And I think it's something that we probably start to offer on a regular basis going forward.
Yeah, I hope so. I think I see a lot of mention of it in the news all the time.
Why do you think it was finally time to do it? And why do you want to do it now?
I've been just hearing more and more about it. First of all, it's something that I've wanted to learn about it myself. It's curious to see what the fuss is about. I'm not a quantitative big data kind of person, but at the same time, I like visual stuff, and I always get kind of attracted to the idea of visualizing big data and making sense out of it. I know that when every now and then I look at the skills that are in demand right now, big data, analytics are always part of it. So I know that it's a skill that for us to have, but also for the students.
Well, that's for sure. It seems like half the jobs that I see now are for data scientists or have something related to data science in the title. Even they've been renaming jobs that have been around for a long time with things that start with data.
Yeah. I think also just that there's just more and more data out there that is accessible. We are leaving a lot more footprints in terms of kind of the things we log into and log out of. And I think there's definitely more attention in that. I was kind of surprised at how broad the field is. Initially, when I started doing my own research to prepare for this class, I saw a lot of overlaps with things like gamification, where people were trying to use some kind of structure to design a class, and they kind of fit it under learning analytics. I'm not sure if this class will go into that, but I was just kind of surprised at how broad the field is, not just about numbers, although that's a big part of it.
That's one of the hard things in even designing this class, is that it's such a broad field, and it's actually like a really challenging thing. It requires a lot of different skills that don't coexist in a single person.
Well, that's probably why the job.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, why there's so many jobs and job openings for it, right?
Yeah.
Like deciding like what to include in course has been a little bit of a challenge that way, because there's so many different directions to take. I'm looking forward to it. One, I find that a lot of our students at Adelphi, like working with the data visualization stuff, and they like learning tools and new things. And when it is working really well, I think the data analytics or learning analytics really can give you new insights into teaching and learning, and that's the upside of it. But I also think it's important, more from our critical digital media studies perspective, that we understand, the program at Adelphi, understand what the implications of big data are for learning and teaching. And they're not all good, is my current position. They're not necessarily bad, but they're definitely not all good. And we need to know how it works so that we can offer like a solid critique, and also kind of a way forward that's both ethical and in lines with what our broader vision of teaching and learning is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it raises some really interesting questions about what learning is. Learning analytics don't always capture the quality. It's very much focused on frequency and counts and measures, just kind of one side of what learning is about, but not all of it. And I think we'll definitely have some interesting debates about what that data does or does not tell us. So I think it'll be really interesting.
I'm interested to hear what everyone thinks about in the class, not just what I've been thinking about. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Getting ready for this class, is there anything that you picked up or any new skills that you're looking forward to using and developing?
Well, just playing around with Tableau has been a lot of fun, both Tableau and Tableau Prep. It's not the easiest tool to use, but it is easier than I thought it would be. And I don't tend to kind of gravitate towards that. So if I feel like if I can figure it out, I think it is intuitive and it shouldn't be that hard to use compared to many other tools. I think we played around with what was that, Google Data Studio? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And I think we ultimately landed on Tableau because, well, it offered a free license, but so did Google. I guess Google
Right.
was free, but I think we liked Tableau because it felt more intuitive.
Yeah, I think Tableau is still kind of the gold standard for doing the data visualizations and interactive data maps and stuff. I first started using it. It's the only MOOC that I ever took myself that I finished or went all the way to the end. It was a data visualization MOOC, and they were using Tableau in there. And I had a chance to play with it, but definitely not master it. And I get the feeling that it's one of those things that if I really knew it well, I would probably use it all the time because it's so useful. But there's a little bit of a learning curve to get started with it. I think you can actually get started pretty quickly, and then you hit the learning curve, and then it evens out again. So maybe that's more of like an S curve.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of learning analytics, there's definitely a lot of that kind of asking questions with data and trying to understand it and then trying to present it or tell, like I'm going to talk about in the class, telling stories with data.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's also this whole history in education of using data for feedback to change what we do. And that's what I think is where learning analytics departs from just quantitative research, because there's also clearly a long social science tradition of using data to make decisions and to understand problems. But having it actually feedback immediately into, the learning system is where I think learning analytics kind of sets itself apart. And in that sense, it's building on, a lot of the early instructional technology systems like the cognitive tutors and that kind of stuff. That have these statistical models and machine learning and kind of AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe next summer, Aaron, we'll teach the part 2 of this course where we'll actually maybe get into some of those predictive algorithms and some of the AI side of it. But for now, I think we're going to study them more from a social cultural perspective and focus just on trying to see what we can do with large data sets for teaching and learning.
Well, I'm not sure about next summer, but at least for this summer, I think we have enough, some interesting activities in there. We're starting the class pretty slowly on the Tableau prep, just doing something very straightforward but useful, and then building on that. So I think the learning curve should be reasonable. I think with any software, it requires you to go in and play around with it a little bit. And I think that's something that the students should plan on doing on their own, to be willing to kind of go into the software and just kind of drag things around and see what happens. And
I think definitely by the end of this class, everyone in there is going to be really comfortable taking like a big data set, being able to manipulate it, calculate some fields, and then produce the types of tables, charts, and graphs that they want coming out of it. Mm-hmm. So the things that they might be doing in Google Sheets or Excel right now, but being able to bring like way more data into it and do kind of a deeper dive with the analysis. And like there's so much to learn, but I wish like every graduate in our program should be comfortable doing that. And it's something I even want to get better at doing. So that's the thing that I'm probably looking forward to the most out of the class this summer.
I agree. And I think it should be a lot of fun. It'll be a learning experience for everyone.
I'm looking forward to it. We start up on Tuesday. So we've got the long weekend this weekend coming up, and then we're going to dive right into it.
Yeah, and I'm going to be away for the first few weeks, but I look forward to coming back and jumping right into and see what happens.
All right. Well, enjoy your time off, and we'll get back together in a couple weeks.